Good afternoon and good evening to you. It's going to Tube. Hope you're well today. Hope you're feeling grand all as well in your world. I hope the window brightness doesn't get too annoying today. I just didn't want to be in the darkness there. I wanted the natural light today, so for a bit of a change. So I hope that isn't too kind of like, it's burning my retinas. So yeah, I hope it's okay. I hope you don't mind. Yeah, okay, so welcome to another Q&A Wednesday, everybody. Let's get to question 1. Question 1 today is, what pickups does Jhn Frusciante use in his main 62 Strat, and are there any similar pickups? Righty dokie. It's kind of a controversial subject, this, between Jhn Frusciante fans, of what did John actually have in his guitar. Because Dave Lee, John's guitar tech, when he rejoined the band up till when he left again, stated in an interview with JF Effects that he used standard USA series pickups from 1998. Problem with that is, if you look at USA standard pickups from 98, 99, the pole pieces on the single coils are flat pole pieces. They're not staggered like vintage style pickups. And if you look at John's 62 Strat during that period, they're staggered pole pieces. So it makes you go, well, that's obviously not true. You know, because why would Dave Lee say there were standards when they're clearly not? And if you just Google search it, you can see they're definitely not. They'd be flat pole pieces, and I've played a couple of late 90s Strats, and in all fairness, I don't think they were any good. Pickup wise, I don't think they retained any kind of that classic kind of Strat sound, to be honest with you. But my opinion, I mean, I'd say I'm not saying they're rubbish, but they were. I didn't like them tonally. But what pickups did John use? Personally, I think up until I've done a lot of looking into this, but I personally think they were just standards. They were just the stock 62 pickups. If you get some really good close-up shots of John's Strat through some of the live performances, like at the Budokan and like at the Big Day Out festival, like 99, 2000, and also the Red Square gig, you get some really, really good close-ups of John's Strat, and his pickups in his guitar at that point look identical to the pickups I have in my 62. They look identical, like the way the poles are, the way they're a bit askew, because of the celluloid scratch plate warping. So I personally think they were just standard pickups, and I'm going by what John said, because John said in an interview that he used the stock pickups in his Strat, his 62, until Stadium Arcadium, when they eventually died, and they switched to SSL ones, which would make sense, because if you listen to John's guitar tone during Stadium Arcadium and compare that to By the Way and Californication, the 62, and also live footage, the 62 sounds different. The sound it has in the Stadium Arcadium era is a lot, I don't want to say newer, that's not the word I'm looking for, but they're a lot more, they're brighter. There's a lot more kind of like newness in the sound, if that makes any sense. Like, old pickups sound old, like whereas the SSL ones that John shoved in his 62, I'm positive that's what they are. they sound different. His guitar sounds totally different. Also, another thing to note about John's guitar, he's 62. If you go back to watch footage of him during 98, 99, 2000, 2001, 2002, 2003, he's got the original celluloid green, mint green scratch plate on his guitar. He's got the, it's got the truss rod cut there, and it's really green. It's the proper celluloid scratch plate, and it looks... Old celluloid scratch plates look a certain way, and that's what he had on there. But around Hyde Park era, Rock AM Ring 2004 time, the scratch plate gets changed to just a standard mint green scratch plate without the truss rod cut. So at some point, obviously the celluloid scratch plate, obviously, I don't know, it could have warped, it could have gone funny. They do shrink, and it wouldn't surprise me if they just changed it to just a standard plastic one, and that one remains up until John left the band. Again, you can see it doesn't change. So 2003, 2004, somewhere around there, John changed the scratch plate. But again, coming back to Slane Castle, end of Don't Forget Me, the camera zooms in on his guitar, and again, the pickups look identical to the original 62 Strat pickups. They just have that look, and also there's a sound to them. There's a very distinctive sound to these old pickups, and the sound in Stadium Arcadium is totally different to By the Way and Californication era. So I personally believe that when John rejoined the band and Anthony bought his 62 for him, they were the bog standard 62 straight pickups. And also, I do have a magazine somewhere with Dave Lee stating that all John's guitars are stock. No mods. So, it's a bit weird how he'd go back on that, knowing that he said that in a previous interview. So it's a bit weird. But I personally think from 1998 to 2005, 2006, maybe somewhere around 2000, somewhere between 2005, 2006, they were changed. So original up to that point, and then he changed to SSL ones by Seymour Duncan, which we all think he has in his 55 Strat. And John said in an interview when he bought the 55, he bought it thinking it was a stock 55 until somebody said, no, you've got Seymour Duncan SSL ones in it. And because he liked that guitar so much and he liked the sound of it so much, it makes sense he would go for SSL ones. It doesn't make sense for him to have bog standard American series Strat pickups in his 62 and SSL ones in his 55. I think John's he's a bit of he still is. He's a creature of habit. Everything's the same all the time. Things change here and there, but most of the time, a lot of things are the same. He played his 62 and his 55 more than he played anything else. Especially his 62, it's his favourite guitar. But so I personally think they were just bog standard 62 Strat pickups. The guitar was stock up until he changed them in about 2005, 2006 when he changed to SSL ones. And if you look at footage from the Stadium Arcadium era, the pickups look different, and they do look more like SSL ones, the way the pole pieces are staggered and whatnot. So yeah, I mean that's what I think anyway. So pickups that kind of replicate that sound, obviously, yeah, there's the Seymour Duncan SSL ones, but personally, I think the Fender Tex-Mex pickups do a better job of replicating John's tone myself. My white Strat does a better job at recreating John's tone than the Oswald Strat with the SSL ones, because the SSL ones have a certain darkness to them, whereas the Tex-Mex pickups in my white Strat, my 63 issue, they're a lot brighter and more open. So yeah, I would go for either Tex-Mex or SSL ones, depending on what you feel like. But I personally believe that John's guitars were not modded until they had to be modded. Until the original pickups died, I reckon they were stock. And there's a great picture of him playing Woodstock, just a still picture, and he's singing, and he's got his 62 on. And if you look closely at that picture, it's got the proper mint green guard and the pickups, and it just looks like a stock 62. I do not think for 1 second John would have bought that guitar. Being a vintage guitar lover, as he is, and loves that vintage sound, you know, Dave Lee has stated before in the past that he couldn't get John to play new guitars. He didn't like the sound. He liked the sound of the old guitars. So it just makes sense to me. You know, it doesn't make sense to me why John would get a 62 Strat bought for him that he loved, and then immediately change the pickups to bog standard USA ones. It doesn't make sense at all. And so I think they were just stock. But again, you know, it's only my opinion, and from what I've seen and what I've heard and what I can see comparing his pickups to my 62's pickups, they just look identical. Everything's identical. So yeah, you know, be that one. That's a very long-winded answer. I've just realised how long I've waffled on for. Nearly 10 minutes. Good gravy. Anyway, yeah, Tex-Mex pickups or Seymour Duncan SSL ones. I could have just said that, really, but where's the fun in that, everybody? Okay, so hope that's answered your question. Going to move on to question 2 now. Okay, question 2. I'm gonna go. We're gonna move in a minute. We're gonna go somewhere else. But question 2 is how do I? It's another Jhn Frusciante question. Is how do I get the right sound at the end of Dani California, the crazy wah wah bit, and what wah pedal can I use? Par pedal. I don't know what that one is. How do I get the right sound at the end of Dani California, and what wah pedal can I nearly did it again. What wah pedal can I use other than the WH10? Okie dokie. So I've spoken about this quite a bit, but the key to that sound the key to that crazy wah wah sound is having the DS2 after your wah or before. It's after to me, but I think it's before to everyone. 1 second. There we go. Ha 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 ha. The beauty of a tripod, everybody. Okay, so the key is to have your wah pedal here. The guitar comes in to the DS2 first. So out for your guitar, into the DS2, and then from there into your wah pedal. That's the key, because, and then obviously, you know, into other effects. I mean, like I'm using the jackhammer for the. You know, I'm using the jackhammer to kind of like to boost up the clean tone, but that's the key. But it has to be an overdriven signal to start with. It has to be. It can't be. It can't be clean. It needs to be. You know, it's got to be slightly distorted from the get-go, really. So that's the key. You have to have DS2 before or after, which depending on which way you see it, your wah pedal. So out of your guitar into the DS2, and then out of the DS2 into the wah, and then out of that into whatever pedals, and then straight to your amp. That's how you get that sound. It becomes more of a filter. In relation to having it before, if I kick on the governor and do it again, you won't get the same wah wah. In relation to. So hopefully you can kind of hear the difference there. But I've just realised, I don't know if you'll be able to hear me stood down there. But yeah, you've got to have your DS2 there and then your wah there. And the, let me winch you back up a sec. Winched up music. Okay. Okay, so that's the way you've got to have it. And another wah pedal that you can use is a Vox wah pedal, the V487. I think that's what it's called. It's for Silvertop Vox. In my opinion, that's the closest pedal you can get to the Ibanez wah without having an Ibanez wah, because it's got the right kind of sweep. It's actually got more sweep than the Ibanez wah. It's actually it goes a lot further than the Ibanez wah does. It's quite incredible. But with that, you can use something like a Marshall Governor to boost it, to get that real kind of. Now, really awesome WH10 wah sound. So you can do that. I think I've got a video on it somewhere actually in a minute. But I will show you. We'll quickly run through to the room where my other pedal board is, and I'll show you that in a sec. But that's the way your pedals have to be. They have to be that way, otherwise it won't happen. You'll get this. If you don't have it right, this is what you're going to get. In relation to... you can hear the difference there. It's quite substantially different. Okay, so yeah, let's go through to your room. Let me show you this. Let me show you quickly what the wah pedal is, because it'd be just easier that way. And I'll show you how kind of like it does the same kind of thing. I don't know how well the audio will be. I'm just going to use the just the room mic just to capture it. But yeah, that's the way you got to run your pedals, and the Vox V847 I think it is. Let me just show you that quickly. Okay, so that's the wah pedal, everybody. It's just like I say, it's just a bog standard silver top Vox. It's not modded or anything like that. It's just straight, but it does a really good job of replicating the WH10. Really, like we've just something like kind of clean, like the Golden Plexi. Like that, it's okay, but it's not really the Ibanez sound. It's not really there. But if you kick on like a distortion, like say the Governor, so it's not quite a bit of distortion, but not massively, and roll your volume down a bit, you can kind of simulate that kind of big wah sound. It's not 100%, nowhere near 100%, but it's close. You're never going to get 100% unless you get the Ibanez wah. But again, the same principle happens if you have your pedal on that side. You can do the Dani California wah thing. So yeah. So I would recommend this wah personally. I would recommend this wah over a Crybaby. I would almost recommend it over WH10 as well. Although, obviously the WH10 is the WH10, but the Vox wah is a lot easier to get on with. It's bigger. You don't feel like you're going to break it. And it has actually more sweep than the Ibanez. It just goes a bit more shrill. But it's just a really, really cool sound. So I hope the room mic's picked up okay. I don't want it to be like too deafening or anything, but hopefully you'll be able to hear that. Okay, so yeah, I hope that's answered your question. Move on to question 3 now. Where am I? There I am. Yeah! Okie dokie, so... Oh, it's there. I thought it was there, but it wasn't. Okay, so moving on to question 3. It freaked me out for a second now. I was like, ghosts! They're moving my stuff about. Anyway, so question 3. Could you elaborate on what you mean when you say the old one, not the new one, when you're talking about the Marshall MGs? Okay. It comes down to the model more than anything. I know they're all the same. I know they're all called an MG, but the older ones. The old ones are called. Well, let's have a look at the difference. Yeah, the older ones are called like DFX or HDFX if you've got a head. The newer ones are just called FX or HFX, as far as I know, or CHFX if it's the carbon one. But the new ones are the ones with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 dials only, and they're the ones with kind of the buttons and the big MG logo and very, 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 very sparse on the front kind of panel. The older ones look like this. Like, you got your clean channel, you got an overdrive channel, you got a digital section, FX section, you got a reverb, effects level, and a master volume on this side. This is the old ones. That's the ones, and you can't kind of see, but down there is a new one. But But that's what I mean. These are the older version, and also the older ones have chrome fan grills on the back. They're kind of this kind of cool swirly whirly thing, but they have them, or they're actually kind of built into the chassis, kind of like, you know, they're kind of barred over. But that's what I mean. So the new ones have less dials. This is what I mean by the old ones. So you've got a clean channel, an overdrive channel, your digital effects section, and your master section over here. And also the old ones have the FDD switch, the frequency dependent damping switch. Whew, not easy to say that. And it's all got, you know, you line out and stuff. But old ones' chassis look like this. I mean, obviously these are in plexi style boxes, but they look like this. That's the ones. That's what I mean, new and old. And the newer ones just have the, like, yeah, say 8 or 9 dials or whatever it is, with like there's a big round power switch on it as well. So that's what I mean by that. Really, I can understand where I get a bit silly because with me not explaining that, because as at the end of the day, we're all called an MG. So I've got to say, I'm not impressed by the new MGs. I've seen a few reviews on the new MGs, and I can't hear it, if that makes any sense. I'd like to get my filthy little hands on one, but yeah, maybe one day. Maybe they might be really good. I don't know. But anyway, I hope that's answered your question. That's what I mean. Newer ones have less dials. The older ones have more. And also the older ones, the best ones, have the chrome fan grill on the back, and when you turn them on, they go like that. But if you just leave it on for a while, that eventually goes away. So all is well. Okay, so I hope that's answered your question. Okay, going to move on to question 4 now. There's a few here. It's another Jhn Frusciante question. Question 4 is it possible to get the Jhn Frusciante tone out of a vintage V6 with a Seymour Duncan mini humbucker in the bridge through a Randall RG1503? I'm guessing you kind of are. Oh, there's a plectrum there. I'm guessing because you're going for that kind of bridge pickup sound, you have to be kind of the can't stop kind of. That kind of sound. It's doable on a mini humbucker. It is doable on a mini humbucker, but the only problem you'll run into is if you've got a humbucker here and a single coil there, dialing that in for a Jhn Frusciante sound, you'll have to kind of boost up the high end because it'll be quite dark on a standard kind of single coil setting. So what the problem you might run into is this one will sound right, and it'll sound like, you know, with the gain levels and the kind of the brightness and the punch will sound right, but the moment you flick to your net pickup will be too bright because they're not matched. I mean, ideally you can do it, but like I say, you might run into the issue of like I say, of just your bridge pickup will sound great, and your net pickup will sound too bright, and if your net pickup sounds good, your bridge pickup might sound too dark because it's a humbucker. One thing, it's difficult with humbuckers because John's tone isn't humbucker in any way, unless you're kind of going for that kind of ready-made thing. But again, that's the neck humbucker. That's not a bridge humbucker. The same with Fortune Faded. That's all neck humbucker all the time. John very rarely ever uses a bridge humbucker. It's very he's a neck pickup kind of guy. He really likes the neck pickup sounds. Yeah, you're gonna struggle a little bit, but it'd be possible to get that sound out of your amp. Yeah, anything's possible. It's just that with, let me see if I can word this right. Anything's possible with John's kind of tone, like, you know, for that kind of thing, with any kind of pickup. But anything you do will have a knock-on effect with something else that isn't compatible. Like humbucker and a single coil, you can't go between one and the other and it be even most of the time. You know, you're either going to find your humbucker's too dark on a single coil setting, or your single coil's too bright on a humbucker setting. So it's possible, but you might run into that issue. Personally, I would recommend changing it out for a single coil if you can do that, because the vintage V6 single coils are darker than usual single coils. They've got a bit more of a depth to them, so you could brighten up a bit, but a Seymour Duncan mini humbucker will be quite big sounding, so you might have that issue. Yeah, I don't know. That would take a bit of experiment. You definitely could get it at your amp. Definitely. I mean, you can get John's tone out of any amp as long as it's got a clean channel, and you have like an overdrive pedal, like I say, like a Tone City Golden Plexi or a Jackhammer or other. There are other kind of like pedals that will do that as well. But you just got to find the one that works. Like tube screamers don't work. Certain Boss pedals don't work, and certain other pedals won't work for that kind of thing. They won't cooperate with like a DS2 or anything. But yeah, you definitely get that sound out your amp, but you're going to struggle with the guitar with a humbucker switching between. You'd have to keep changing amp settings between, and that's not really a good option, really, especially if you're kind of like flicking between in mid-song. I mean, like I say, it's doable, but you're going to definitely run into that issue. But yeah, your amp, you should be able to get that sound out your amp, and if you're using like an overdrive pedal, you should be good. But if you're using a dirty channel, just run the gain super low, especially on a Randall. Okay, so you also asked, do you think John used a Strat on Wayne? No, I don't. I think on the track Wayne, it sounds like his Yamaha SG. It sounds like a humbucker. It sounds like a neck humbucker with something like a fuzz or either his DS2. It doesn't sound like a Strat. It doesn't really have the right kind of tonality, I don't think. It doesn't quite sound the same. If you kind of like take some of John's Strat songs with DS2, like Minor Thing would be a good one, or anything off By the Way where it's got a distorted guitar solo, which isn't a lot, or some live stuff. The Strat sounds totally different to that, and if you listen to some more of his electronic stuff where he's using his Yamaha SG, but they sound a lot. It sounds a lot more like that. So I reckon it's his Yamaha personally. I reckon it's the humbucker, neck humbucker on that. Okay, so the last thing you asked is what are your feelings watching John's last performance in 2007, and what are your opinions on that, John? I don't really have an opinion on him at that point. It's sad to watch knowing that that's his last. You spoke about the Reading thing. I mean, it's sad to watch knowing that's his second to last performance, and his last performance was marred by technical issues. I mean, that would have just been a nail in the coffin for somebody like John. But it's sad, but it's sad. But at the same time, if you watch him, he's just not into it. He's into it when he's soloing and when he's jamming, but other than that, he stays to his pedal board. He doesn't really interact with the band. He's done. He's just done. You can tell he's just done. He's just had enough at that point, and it's sad to see. It really is sad to see. It's funnier because he looks exactly the same as he did when he left the Chili's when Lenny left him in the first, like 1991, 92 era. He looks the same. Fed up, really moody, just sits there hunched over on just playing his guitar, and he's always at his wah pedal, so he doesn't have to go anywhere else. And that's one thing you notice. He never goes close to the drum riser unless he has to. He never goes anywhere other than his side of the stage. He stays to where his pedal board most of the time. If he doesn't have to move, he won't move. The intro jams, he goes absolutely ape, and the outro jams, he goes absolutely balmy. But I feel it's like a last-ditched effort on his part just to kind of like, is there anything left? Or maybe he's just getting it all out, and that's it. So he doesn't want to carry it with him. He just wants it out and gone. But it is sad. It is really sad. But I remember watching that footage, that Reading Festival footage, and thinking John just doesn't seem right. And thinking deep down that I wonder if he's going to leave. And when they went on hiatus, I was pretty much like sure that was it for the Chili Peppers. And when John announced he was leaving the Chili Peppers again, I was like, I'm not really surprised. He looked absolutely fed up. And in 2007, 2008, he had enough. He was done. He had had enough. And you know, it's good for him that, you know, he wanted to go off and do his own thing. It's really, really cool. But it's kind of upsetting for all of us because, you know, he's our hero, and, you know, we don't want to see our hero upset or anything like that. You know what I mean? It's weird. It's a funny thing to say for somebody you've never met and who comes across as a bit of an arrogant git, really. And I don't like to speak badly of John, but I'm not being funny. He does come across a bit difficult, to say the least. He just comes across as that kind of thing. But again, you know, people like that normally are quite difficult people to get on with and deal with. But I'm not saying anything. I don't know the man, so I can't really say. But yeah, it is hard footage to watch. It's not... But his playing is stunning. There's so much emotion in him, but there's so much sadness and anger and aggression, and there's no happiness in his playing. There is no happiness in his playing. It's like in Come On Girl, he does a solo. It goes... It's such a sad sound. It's such a sad sound. And it really is very kind of... Yeah, there's nothing left in him. There's just nothing left in him. He doesn't want to be there. He doesn't want to do it anymore. But yeah, it's hard to watch. It is sad. It's sad to watch. But yeah, anyway, I hope I've answered your question okay. I'm going to move on to question 5 now. Okay, so question 5. Do you have any tips to make improvisations more interesting, changing scales, effects, tempo, anything like that? Okay. Improvisation, to me, isn't necessarily about making it interesting, if that makes sense. It's weird. It's about making you... It's about taking people who are listening on a ride. It's not about people going, "Oh, I liked how he did that," and I liked how he did. To me, improvisation is expression. You want people to go with you on a solo in improvisation. Really, you want to take them on a ride of going up and down and up and down, and you know, and suspending them and then releasing them. It doesn't want to be like... I'm going to go from this scale to this scale and change up the feel of it. Like, you know, if you kind of like... You know, it doesn't want to be that kind of thing. I personally... Well... Again, this is my own opinion on improvisation. I think improvisation you should feel it. You should be able to... You want to be able to kind of like express an emotion, that anything that's going on in your head at that point in time, whether it be good, happy, sad, anger, whatever, you want to be able to get that out through the guitar and hopefully make people feel that. And through doing that, that's where the variety in improvisation comes from, because you're taking people along. Like, you can just... You know, you can kind of like scale it, like do scales like that, and go faster and go slower and play like big long sustained notes. You know, but you want... For improvisation, really, you want people to feel your emotions of what's going on at that point in time, because the guitar is you want to be expressing through the guitar. You want to be able to... You want people to feel like if I think about like the last question of like, you know, how it looks watching Jhn Frusciante when he can't be able to play, because John's such a big hero of mine, and when he looks upset, it upsets me, because I'm like, oh, what's wrong? If you kind of do like something that kind of inspires that, it kind of... You just want to express. It's really hard to explain, but like some... I don't know. I don't know if this will work, but... that's me trying to get across how I feel about the last question. I don't know. That's the hard part of playing guitar, is trying to get people to feel what you're playing, and I want to be able to do that. I really want to be able to do that. I can't do that, but I'd like to be able to. But I mean, yeah, different effects can definitely do it. I mean, it all comes to, everything in the guitar comes down to feel. You have to feel it. It's the most important thing in music and guitar playing, is to feel it. Don't just run the numbers, so to say, on the guitar. You've got to express and emote and really just dive into yourself and pull it all out. You really, really, really need to do that with the guitar. It's made for that kind of playing. You can really get better. You can really get behind it, and it will do what you want it to do. It says what you want to say. It screams when you can't. Yeah, it's quite hard to answer this one, really. But yeah, I mean that's really kind of like, and melodic, being melodic with your playing is kind of key. Yeah, sorry about that, everybody. But yeah, you try, slow down and play really melodically, and really kind of like turn your brain off and just play, and variety will come. Regardless, it will come through it. You've just got to feel where you're going. You've got to feel the music and let it take you where it's going to take you. And this is a pretty vague answer, but I can only speak of how I see improvisation, how I feel improvisation. Yeah, I mean that's what I would recommend. It's just literally just kind of shut your eyes, turn your brain off, and just play. And first off, if you're doing it, it won't happen. It won't happen for a while. But the more you do it, the more you'll get it. And eventually, you just kind of like, you go somewhere else, and then you don't really ever come back. It's weird. It's like the other day in the Jet City video, at the end of it, I was getting really annoyed at my guitar playing because I thought my guitar playing was terrible. It was terrible to my opinion. I just didn't play very well, and I had to get that out at the end, and I was zoned out for the rest of the day after that video. I was just a bit like, everything was just a little bit more. I was just lost elsewhere. I was somewhere else. You go somewhere else, and sometimes it's hard to come back from there. You don't want to come back from there sometimes. But it sounds really silly or weird. I don't know. I know, but it is. It's like whole idea of shutting your eyes and just letting the music take you away. And you want people to be able to do that with you as well. People listening to you, you want them to be able to shut their eyes and have no distractions, just the music, just what you're doing at that time, and let them come with you and take them on a ride up and down, suspending, falling, whatever. You've got to do that with improvisation. It's got to be a ride. It's got to be an expression. It's got to be an emotion. It's got to be something. It can't just be running the numbers scale-wise and effects-wise and all this kind of thing. You have to get it out, and they have to feel it. It's really important. It's like I say, it is the most important thing in the world to feel music. It really is. Listen to your favourite song. Like, go into a quiet room, put your favourite song on really loud, and shut your eyes, and just feel everything that's going on in that song. What is going on. Just shut the world out and think about the music. And that's what you need to do with guitar when improvising. Shut the world out. Forget about the weird faces you might be making, the weird contortions you're getting into to do it. Forget that you nearly fall over, or you do fall over. Forget that you bang your head on the mic stand. I've done that a few times, and I'm sure a lot of people have. Forget that a string breaks. Forget that people aren't listening. Because if you're playing pubs most of the time, some people don't listen. Just get lost in the music, and people will come with you in it. It's infectious. Eventually, You know, if you listen to people like Jimi Hendrix and John Frusciante and Peter Green, you get lost in their playing because they take you with their improvisation. You know, it's really key, really, really key. But I'm getting a really dry throat. My voice is going. I'm talking too much, I think. But yeah, to me, that's what improvisation is. It's all expression. It's all feeling. It's all about going somewhere else. Just forgetting the ugliness of the world or whatever, or what's happened in that day, something that's annoyed you, and just getting it out to other people who are in the same position, and it makes them feel good because they don't feel so alone or whatever. You know, it's all about feel. It comes down to feel. Feel is everything. It's absolutely everything. With improvisation, playing in general, even if you're just playing bar chords or Wonderwall, you've got to have a feel for it. Like, Wonderwall's a good example of feel, because anyone can go. But that's not how it's played. There's emphasis, there's feel in it. Like, you know, there's a bounce, there's a feel to it. It's really important. And although Noel likes to think he doesn't have that, he does have that. But anyway, I hope that's answered your question. I know it's a bit of a vague answer, and it's not really a very good answer. But I hope I hope that kind of explains. I can only speak from my perspective at improvisation, and that's what improvisation is to me. It's like I say, it's all about expression and feel. So I really hope it's answered your question. Going to move on to the final question of the day now. Question 6. Haha. Okay, can you recommend a 2x12 cab to go with the CR120 head? What speakers? Any 2x12 cab with Celestion G12 75Ts. Seriously, any high watt Celestion speaker, like a 70 or a 75 watt speaker, will work wonders with this thing. Vintage 30s and 25 watt greenbacks are great as well, but personally I think the Celestion 75s, the G12Ts, the black and white sticker ones, they just make this amp just sing, in my opinion. But it just lends itself to those that speaker so well, in my opinion. But again, what I would say is try a few different things. Like the Marshall you can only pick up like a Marshall JCM 900 2x12. Excuse me. Fairly cheap, and that's got those speakers in it. And I would recommend that. That would be my recommendation. It would be a JCM 900 2x12 cab. That's what I would recommend personally if you're after a 212. But see if you can try a few different things. If you've got a local guitar shop and they've got a couple of 212s, and you can take your amp in and try it, which you should be able to do. Just try a few different things and see what appeals, see what talks to you. Picking the right cabinet is a lot like picking. You've got to pick the right amp and the right guitar. It's got to speak to you. If the sound coming out doesn't speak to you, then you're not gonna enjoy playing. So yeah, just try a few different things. But my recommendation would be the JCM 900 212. It's an amazing cab. I used to have one. I sold it because I'm an idiot, and it's awesome, and I miss it. It was an amazing cab, and I miss it a lot. But we've all got equipment we miss, don't we, everybody? Who hasn't sold something and gone, you idiot? Yeah, I think everyone's done that. Okay, so yeah, I hope I answered your questions okay, everybody. I do apologise if some of the answers were a bit vague. I feel like I've gone off even more so on a tangent today than I normally do. But I hope at least some of it made sense. I hope there's something you can, at least a few things you can take away from it. Anyway, yeah, I really hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you again on Friday for another vid. Yeah, have a great morning, afternoon, good evening, everybody. Happy Wednesday. Listen to Wednesday's song.